Modern society, especially in the United States, has normalized sexual immorality, often promoting the idea that sleeping with several people is acceptable, as long as you use protection or take preventative measures. However, this superficial view ignores the profound consequences that these acts can have on our soul and our emotional well-being. I'm James. My own search for meaning and purpose began when I was feeling lost, yearning for a deeper connection with life. On that journey, I learned that there is immense value in sharing experiences and learning from those of others. Now I'm here to invite you to join this spiritual adventure. If there's an inner voice telling you that there's more to life than the daily grind, join me and subscribe to our channel. Many people, especially young people, are not aware of the damage they may be doing to themselves by engaging in casual sexual relations. As a spiritual authority, I feel compelled to warn about these dangers. When we unite with someone intimately, we are not only sharing our bodies, but also our energies and spirits. If the person we are joining with is charged with negative energies or evil spirits, these influences can be transferred to us. This can result in feelings of depression, anxiety, and even spiritual illnesses that can affect us for many years. Sexual immorality is a delicate topic, but one that needs to be addressed honestly and clearly. We live in a time when society, especially in the United States, has normalized behaviors that only a few decades ago would have been considered unacceptable. The idea that it is perfectly acceptable to sleep with several people, as long as you use protection, is widely promoted. However, this simplistic view ignores the profound spiritual and emotional consequences of these acts. When we talk about sexual immorality, we are not only referring to the physical risks, such as sexually transmitted diseases, but also to the invisible scars that are left on the soul. Every intimate relationship creates a deep connection between the people involved. Even if every possible precaution is taken, the spiritual and emotional impact of this union cannot be avoided. Churches often talk about forgiveness of sins and salvation through Christ, which is essential. However, it is also crucial to recognize that our actions have consequences that can persist, even after forgiveness. The Bible teaches us that he who sows to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. This means that although we can be forgiven for our sins, we can still suffer the consequences of our past actions. These consequences can manifest themselves in various ways, from emotional and psychological problems to difficulties in forming healthy relationships in the future. As someone who has counseled many people over the years, I can tell you that the effects of sexual immorality are real and profound. People who engage in casual relationships often report feelings of emptiness, regret, and difficulties trusting future partners. In addition, there is the question of spiritual consequences. When we engage in sexual immorality, we are opening doors to negative spiritual influences in our lives. These acts can lead us away from God and His purpose for us, making us vulnerable to spiritual attacks and difficulties that could be avoided if we followed God's ways. Today's culture exerts a tremendous influence on our lives, often in ways we don't even realize. In the last 100 years, there has been a significant change in the values and behaviors promoted by society. Before, the emphasis was on family, marriage, and having children. Today, culture seems to promote the idea that having just 1 or 2 children is ideal, and that it is normal and acceptable to live a life centered on immediate pleasure, without considering the long-term consequences. In addition, the absence of father figures has a profound impact on the formation of young people. Without a father present to guide and discipline, many girls end up adopting behaviors they see in the media and in their social circles. This leads to a vicious cycle where immoral behavior is passed down from generation to generation, perpetuating the destruction of solid family values. Culture also promotes the idea that sexual immorality is acceptable and even desirable. Popular music, for example, often glorifies casual sex and infidelity. This progresses the minds of young people, making them believe that these behaviors are normal and without consequences. However, we know that this is not true. Sexual immorality brings with it a host of problems, from physical illness to emotional and spiritual trauma. Culture also promotes the idea that sexual immorality is acceptable and even desirable. Popular music, for example, often glorifies casual sex and infidelity. This progresses the minds of young people, making them believe that these behaviors are normal and without consequences. However, we know that this is not true. Sexual immorality brings with it a host of problems, from physical illness to emotional and spiritual trauma. It is essential that we resist these cultural influences and strive to live according to God's principles. We must teach our children to value purity, dignity, and self-respect. We need to be examples of fair and upright behavior, showing that it is possible to live a full and happy life without giving in to the pressures of society. There is also the question of emotional consequences. Many people enter into casual relationships believing that they can separate the physical from the emotional, but in reality, this rarely happens. Emotions get involved, and when the relationship ends, it can leave deep scars. These emotional wounds can hinder future healthy relationships, creating a cycle of pain and suffering. It is therefore vital that we understand the importance of treating our bodies and souls with respect. We must be selective and conscious about who we choose to unite with. This is not just a question of morality, but of spiritual and emotional health. Every time we get involved with someone, we are making a choice that can impact our lives in ways we may not even fully understand at the time. The importance of obedience and fear of God cannot be underestimated in the life of a Christian. When we talk about obedience, we are referring to following God's commandments and living according to His principles. This is not just a question of following rules, but of understanding that these guidelines have been given for our good. God knows us better than anyone and knows what is best for us. When we obey God, we are demonstrating our trust in Him and our desire to live a life that pleases Him. The Bible is clear that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. This means that by revering God and His teachings, we are acquiring the true wisdom that will guide us in all areas of our lives. The fear of God is not a paralyzing fear, but a deep respect and reverence for His holiness and power. Over the years, I have seen many people struggle with the idea of obedience to God. Some believe that they can go their own way and still expect God to bless their lives. However, the truth is that when we deviate from God's principles, we move away from His blessings. Obedience is the key to living a full and blessed life. The fear of God also protects us from many dangers. When we have a deep respect for God, we are less likely to give in to the temptations and sins that can destroy us. The fear of God reminds us of the consequences of our actions and encourages us to live justly and with integrity. It gives us the strength to resist evil and choose the good, even when this is difficult. Furthermore, obedience to God is a way of showing our love for Him. Jesus said, "If you love me, you will obey my commandments." True obedience comes from the heart, from a sincere desire to please God and live according to His will. When we do this, we experience a peace and joy that the world cannot give us. So let's commit ourselves to obeying God in every area of our lives. Let's seek the fear of God as our guide and our protection. In doing so, we will not only be honoring God, but also living the abundant life He has planned for us. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of genuine communication. In a world where conversations are often reduced to text messages and emojis, it's easy to lose the depth and true connection that are fundamental to a solid relationship. Open and honest communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship. It's important to take the time to talk deeply with your partner, share feelings, hopes, and fears, and truly listen to what the other has to say. Another significant challenge is the issue of fidelity. We live in a society that often glamorizes infidelity and minimizes its consequences. However, fidelity is crucial for trust and security in a relationship. Betrayals, whether emotional or physical, can cause deep and lasting damage. It is vital to set clear boundaries and remain committed to those boundaries, in order to protect the integrity of the relationship. In addition, the influence of modern culture can make it difficult to find partners who share Christian values. The pressure to conform to social norms that often contradict biblical teachings can be intense. However, it is essential to remember that a relationship based on solid values and principles is more likely to last and be satisfying. Seeking a partner who also values Christian faith and principles is essential to building a relationship that honors God. Choosing the right partner is perhaps the most important challenge. Often people enter into relationships without really getting to know the other person or checking that they share the same values and goals. It is crucial to invest time in getting to know the other person deeply before making a serious commitment. Testing the spirits, as the Bible advises us, is essential to ensure that we are uniting with someone who truly shares our faith and principles. Finally, the challenges of modern relationships require patience, discernment, and a constant dedication to communication and faithfulness. By seeking guidance from God and following His principles, we can overcome these challenges and build strong, healthy relationships that glorify Him and bring us true happiness.